Welcome to Center of Light. Tonight, we're going to get clear. I'm going to get clearer, that's for sure. Good to see you tonight. Is Center of Light Fulfillment. Soul Purpose. S-O-U-L, purpose, soul purpose, soul purpose. S-O-L-E, my soul purpose. Same but different. Same coin, two different sides. Either one, I got cat hair all over me. My little Kiki's been sleeping on my beanie. Soul purpose, and putting both those together to come up with a whole piece. Wholeness and peace. You deserve that. Tonight is soul purpose. I love the play on the two words of soul. Let's see who's here tonight. I want to acknowledge everyone. I sat down hour and a half from this point ago, and I started getting impregnated, if you will, information for tonight's presentation. I'm not going to try to be extravagant. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to share with you how this comes about for me. I just fall into my intent. I don't really ever have, in fact, I don't really have notes. I may have a bullet point just to say, okay, don't make sure not to glaze over this. This is something you want. This is the meat potatoes of a presentation. But as I sat down tonight, getting my stuff ready, getting my Kiki fed, all that good stuff, I was like, wow, that's a great piece of information. I wrote it down. And then it started to become a double and triple entendre, and I wrote them down. And it started playing within itself, which is a key point that I'm going to be bringing up here shortly. I was like, wow, this is why I do what I do. Let me acknowledge everyone as I said I would. Tammy Collins, what's up, Tammy Collins? Are you behaving? Kitty Bageron. Kitty, my last account was shut down by the Lizard Man. Thank you for reconnecting with me again. Nori Love says, I love me some taters, fresh fried taters and mustard. Rhonda, tell everyone Kitty and Cajun Kunaslan I said hello. Kitty Bageron says, cheese and Kitty divinely here from the blue. Katie, hello. Let's see what's happening on YouTube, which I think Dana's there. I think Lady Kelly, avians and furries are there. Hello, everyone. I have a fantastic, they're all fantastic presentation tonight. Of course, Shunyamurti is going to speak. My knees are going to get weak. This ain't tongue in cheek. The world after this presentation tonight will not be so bleak. You got to be the meek soul purpose. S-O-U-L. Purpose. Soul purpose. My soul purpose. S-O-L-E. Let me share with you these download packets of light that came into me right before I sat down. I just had soul purpose, and I had a couple of notes from my I'm getting there. I'm not as young as I used to be, but still handsome. For my new bestseller, Homecoming Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, I do have some things I'm going to be reading later. Lavender Soul CDs, my spiritual band. CDs were selling like hotcakes. All 3 albums, $20. Let me know in this forum. For those who are interested in the bestseller, the link is in here. Hyperjump to Amazon. If you read it, hyperjump to Amazon, same link. And give me a review or some stars or a pankin on my hiney. So I'm going to get down to sharing with you these packets of light that came to me tonight, right before I started this craziness. All that is natural turns within itself, becoming infinitely greater expressions of itself, or supernatural God. Let me read that again. All that is natural turns within itself, becoming infinitely greater expressions of itself, or the supernatural God. And there is nothing you can do about it. If you want to see God in its most natural state, the supernatural state, you have to open yourself up to beauty. You have to open yourself up to beauty. As you might have figured out by the title of tonight's presentation, it has a little something to do with doing what you love. Soul purpose. My sole purpose is to be a happy, blissful individual, to do what I love. But probably more so about doing what you don't love. Completing with it once and for all. You have your soul, S-O-U-L purpose, doing that which you love, and you have your soul, your number one, your soul purpose, to do those things that you don't love doing. This means face the devil, the darkness, the emotion that is keeping you from being conscious of the light. Ya-na-va. Ya-na-va. It's all around you. It enfolds you, in fact. Let's refrain back to the first verse. All that is natural turns within itself, becoming infinitely greater expressions of itself, or supernatural. Hello, Jody. God. And there is nothing you can do about it. If you want to see God in its most natural state, the supernatural state, you have to open yourself up to beauty. As you might have figured out by the title, tonight has a little something to do with doing what you love, but more so about doing what you don't love, completing with it once and for all. You have a soul purpose. My soul's purpose is to be joyful, so I need to be getting my groove into what I love. You also have a soul purpose, S-O-L-E, to do those things that you don't love so much. This means, again, I say this twice, not because I didn't think you understood. I'm doing this for me. This means face the devil, the darkness, the emotion that is keeping you from being conscious of the light. Being conscious of the light, we often talk about how laughter is integral to that very thing. Well, I am now going to post a link about a police officer from Los Angeles, now comedian. He will launch you back into the light. Dana says it's freezing. It's cold out there. His name is Kevin Jordan. Tammy Collins says, I saw that wink in the one eye. So tonight is Center of Light fulfillment, fulfilling your spiritual contract. So tonight is not only about doing what you love, your soul purpose. It's also about your soul purpose, completing with those things that you don't love. I am not suggesting, because that would be hypocritical of what my previous many presentations before, that is, always do what you love, don't do the things you don't love. That is still true. But in this regard, you have to do the things you don't love. You have to at least face those things that booger and or bother you. That is the point. From Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, tonight is Center of Light fulfillment. You have to fill yourself. Fulfillment. And as long as there's the soul purpose, S-O-L-E, that is not being fulfilled, filling the contract and the contact with the emotions that are truly just skeletons in the closet and baggage, you're not living your soul contract. You're just not doing it. So there's two sides to the same coin. The coin is purpose, and the two sides of purpose is soul, S-O-U-L, and S-O-L-E. The law of purpose, or dharma, from Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. Find what your own role is in the grand scheme and perform it by allowing your spirit's expression to live and work in your life. Going against this law will put you on a sure path to misery. Spirit says, Keith, I see you as a slumbering aspect of myself. So as your loving parent, I say to you, hey, sleepyhead, are you not ready to get up and start your eternal day? My divine child, awaken and use your God-given instincts as your guide. Your whole life awaits. And I ask the question, what do you mean by instinct and where does it come from? Instinct is life's common thread of knowing and purpose. How does my little cat know 5 minutes before I go into presentation mode, she goes somewhere else? Without fail. I was doubting her a little bit earlier. Without fail, she left because she's got a little fire in her. What do you mean by instinct and where does it come from? Spirit says instinct is life's common thread of knowing and purpose. It comes from all previous times to guide you on the right path, the path to spirit. That's why animals know how to hunt, how to hide, how to do what they do because of instinct. From previous times of learning and their graduation, their elevation into greater capacities of consciousness. And I see. Spirit says, Keith, it's not enough to see. You must look, and ye shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart. Jeremiah 29:13-14. Spirit continues to all my children, for the world to ever attain heaven on earth, things cannot be as they are now. This was in 1996, but it's still lingering. It will take all nationalities coming together to achieve the goal of love, peace, and unity. Trust that I will guide you in whatever you do. Just remember to breathe. That's the song by Lavender Soul I'm going to play when I take a song break. Breathe. Just remember to breathe and do your very best to live in love. Give in love, be in love, and love you shall receive. It is time to embrace yourselves, embrace all of humanity, and embrace the earth. Do this, and you embrace God. Join me for a spiritual resolution, revolution, and evolution of human consciousness. That's powerful stuff. You are more powerful than that stuff. You are the stuff that fashioned all this in your experience. So you can simply just be reminded. Do you understand? Your sole purpose is to become infinitely aware, even beyond the powerful, beautiful things in your life. Well, Keith, can it get any more powerful and beautiful? It can. Infinitely. Lavender Soul, breathe. Going to be right back. Welcome everyone to Center of Light. Tonight is Center of Light Fulfillment. Soul purpose.
Trust that I will guide you in whatever you do. Just remember to breathe and do your very best to live in love, give in love, be in love, and love you shall receive.
to know all the wisdom's in my soul. All along I knew the way. Time has told me every day to breathe and expand myself, to know there is no one else but me and God who's in my heart. So I'll breathe and expand myself and know there is no one else but me and God. In my heart.
Welcome to Center of Light. We're going to get clear. How do I know that? It's very effortless. It doesn't require intuition in this way. Simply, we're going to listen to some Shunyamurti. Who is Shunyamurti? Doesn't matter who he is. In fact, his name doesn't even matter. His presence cares, and that's what matters. We all care. Equally matters his level of caring, because of his clarity of consciousness, comes from a more pure space. Therefore, he doesn't search for words to say. The presence of spirit simply imbues him, impregnates him, and uses his vocal cords, his mouth, his heart as a catalyst, as a vehicle to express through words, which it's beyond the words because it's about the empty space between the words that spirit actually speaks. Hear what he has to say. Listen from the heart perspective, and you will get the language of light On this night, center of light is center of light fulfillment, fulfilling your soul contract, soul purpose, that which you love doing. S-O-U-L, purpose, soul purpose. Soul purpose, those things you don't love so much. Your sole purpose, S-O-L-E, to come here and do those things that you must complete with. You don't want to die or leave this earth with regret. You don't want to, you can choose to do that. In hindsight, you will wish you hadn't. Shunyamurti, tonight's presentation from Shunyamurti to align with my presentation, Center of Light Fulfillment, Soul Purpose, is titled, one moment, Meditation. It's not a meditation. Maybe there was one before. Discovery of your innermost self. I am going to post this link in the forums to give credit to those who dedicate their lives to fulfillment. Shunyamurti, I'll see you in about 18 minutes. Fantastic. Hold on tight. Go get your water now. Maybe bring you a napkin because you're going to salivate. I'll see you in a minute.
And that's why we meditate. It's that act of discovery of the inmost self. But how to do it when there is so much resistance of the outer levels? Wisdom is too important to leave to the sages, let alone the popes and the mullahs and the rabbis and the Buddhist monastics and the Hindu gurus and the Taoist yogis and whoever else you might want to believe in. God forbid the scientists or the philosophers or the politicians or the lawyers, but you know better than that already. But until you have found your own truth, your own self, the real that is your inmost being, you will be lost and dependent on the opinions of others and the desire of others, the validation of others. And that puts the self in a very fragile position. So in Sat Yoga, we don't seek some ultimate truth. We seek the most intimate truth. The truth of the inmost self. A truth that no one else can tell you about. And that you can't find out about in books. And that's why we meditate. It's that act of discovery of the inmost self. But how to do it when there is so much resistance of the outer levels, the itchy body that's uncomfortable sitting still, the mind that doesn't want to stop thinking and remembering and planning and being somewhere else than you are. The emotions that keep coming up, sadness, desire, despair, all of those internal, chaotic arisings that keep one from simply being who one is. And so the key to getting to that point where you can discover who you really are is to, in some way, conjure up a feeling of love for your inmost self. Not love for the ego self, not love for how you look in the mirror, not love for how you hope other people are looking at you, not love for what you're thinking about, not love for what you think you are, but the love for that inmost self that you do not yet even know. To the extent that you can feel love for that unknown self, the love itself acts as a homing beacon to bring you to that self. Because it turns out that the love you have for yourself isn't from the false ego mind, because that part of you can't love. It is the self's own love. And that the self's own love isn't for any false you or for any other, but it is love in the purity of what love really is, which is unity. But it is that energy of love that arises from and emanates from and out of and to all the levels of consciousness that will bring you to your center. And the closer you get to the center of your being, the more powerful that love becomes. And the more it metamorphoses to your consciousness to become light, to become intelligence, to become will, to become eternal presence. And the paradox of the discovery that is made when the self is realized is that you are nothing like what you thought you were. That the self that you are doesn't even pertain to the body that you look at in the mirror and say, oh, that's me. It has nothing to do with any separate individual. But it turns out that the self you are is the self of nature, the self of the cosmos. That's why you're drawn to permaculture. You're trying to find yourself in nature, in the soil, in the plants, in the animals, in the wind, in the water, in all of the elements of nature. And yes, you are there, but you are there as the self of nature. Just as you are the self of the nature of the body and the self of the nature of the mind, but not the mind, not the body, not the external organisms that make up the natural world. But neither is it anything transcendent of the world. It's not like what those three religions of Islam, Judaism, and Christianity have taught us, that God is some creature, some being out there, or up there, or in some transcendent realm. No. It's the inmost, the most immanent, so close to you that you can't see or know that because you are that. And we are too transcendent of our world. Our mind is separate, as if we are above it. We want to be different from it. We don't want to be the body. We don't want to be the presence. And so we stay in some illusory mental realm that has no reality, and try to grasp reality from this illusory realm of representation. And we lose the real in our theories about the real. Now, the word theory originally, theoria, means to see. But in the ancient world, they understood that to see is to be. But you cannot see the self as an other, as an object, as a thing. You are not separate from what you're looking for. And the ego mind bifurcates everything into subject and object. And that immediately alienates your consciousness from what you are and makes it impossible to realize the self that is neither subject nor object. And thus we must transcend dualistic thought and two-valued logic and all the identifications with being an objective entity in a world in order to realize that self that is the world. And yet, that is more than the world that you can know. Because what you are is invisible. You are the invisible structure of the world. But not just a structure, but a capacity to structure, to dream, to imagine, to conceptualize, to bring into manifestation. It is your creative intelligence that arises from your inmost self that creates the illusion that you're in a world right now, when really the world is within you. And you can only know who you are and therefore what you really want when you have separated from the ego mind that is inherently burdened with a sense of lack, because it lacks being, it lacks reality, and so it is always seeking something or someone to fill its lack, to make it feel whole. And it is obsessed with its desire that it builds into fantasies that are always disappointed, and one ends in devastation and despair and cynicism and hopelessness. But there is nothing hopeless when you realize there is nothing lacking. And it is only because of these false, illusory ideas of who we are that the world has fallen into its present state of corruption and defilement through its greed, its insatiable greed to discover the richness of what we are in a false kind of wealth based on money and the destruction of the real wealth of nature. And we can only put things right and create a culture that can permanently endure when we have once again realized the self of nature. And that the self of nature is the self of everyone you meet, the inmost self of every being, every stranger, every cripple, every being that you would pass by and reject is your own self. Every being, whether human or snake or insect or bird or cosmos, every being. Because all is only the one self. And it is in that sacred consciousness of unity alone that we can create an enduring culture that is based on love, the divine love, the prema, that is the recognition of our oneness. And thus it is a prema culture that can give birth to a permaculture. It is this willingness to live according to the principles of your own wisdom that emerge from your inmost self that permits an authentic dharma to be created. It's not some top-down order that is imposed on you. It is the natural order of life which emanates from within you and that connects with the inmost truth and love of every being, and has no attachment to the individual bodily form in which your inmost self happens to function temporarily, because you are functioning in every form and in the formless presence of the intelligence that is the dreamer of the universe, who is one with the dream. It is this shift in consciousness from the alienation of the limited, finite ego mind that lives in paranoia and confusion and chaos, to the clarity, the presence, the love, the peace, the power of the infinite supreme self that will permit a renaissance of life on our world rather than the extinction of a species that has lost its true nature. May we confer upon ourselves the blessing of living in truth, which is to live in love and to live in peace and to live in silence and to live in that inner light and power that requires no affirmation of an other, no completion by an other, but that can transmit that power of wholeness that is the holy grail that every being seeks. To be able to see the one self in the gaze of the other, who has no ulterior motives of desire and no fear and no territoriality or desire to possess or control or dominate or oppress or exploit, but to live in natural harmony with all that is. It is the learning of this one lesson that is the point of being in community and of facing the truth that the one requirement of our maturity and growth and survival is to overcome the egocentric illusion that alienates us and turns us into objects rather than the manifestations of the one self, who is sacred, inviolable, and pure with the impeccable, precious nectar of eternal love. We are that. May we live as that. May we share that. May we embody that. And may we create a culture that produces that and gives it freely to all. Namaste.
Welcome back to Center of Light. That was Shunyamurti. He's a very divine man. He sits in this dreamy beautiful reality. I love listening to him. He illuminates, strikes a chord, and the lyre, as in a harp, of my soul. I love listening to him. He moves me to a greater space. I am now going to read you some from my new bestseller, Homecoming Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. Tonight's presentation is Soul Purpose. S-O-U-L, Soul's Purpose, doing what you love. S-O-L-E, those things you don't love doing so much, but you must get done because you do not want to leave this earth feeling incomplete. So I'm going to read you some passages from, hello, Robert, good to see you, brother. My new bestseller. Be here for a bit, but we're going to unravel the mind. The mind wants to get entangled, N-I-N, tangled, not entangled, like the entanglement theory. It wants to get entangled. It wants to get caught up in a loop in a bunch of nonsense. Even the mind at its best is nonsense. It can't be a guide until it becomes an addiction. Then it becomes drama. Then it becomes an affliction and an infection. And we pass that shit sandwich to everyone to take a bite and swear to them that it has mayonnaise on it. Do we not? All right, so from Homecoming Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. Again, as a reminder, a setup tonight is Center of Light Fulfillment. You want to fulfill your soul contract. Your S-O-U-L, your soul's contract, by doing those things you came here to be blissful for on a physical plane. But you came to this physical plane to do those things in fulfillment of those things that you swore you would never do. Doesn't mean you have to do it. What it means for you to live in the garden, in the land of beauty, God, you have to simply complete it. From Homecoming Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. Here we go. Spirit and I are having a dialogue. 1996. Present day. Whatever you choose. Spirit says, when you begin to see through all of your illusions, the beauty, as we spoke about, if you want to see God in its supernatural form, look for beauty. Be open the heart to see beauty. When you begin to see through all of your illusions, the beauty that has always been there will humble you. Wow. I'm humbled. To be able to have the vision capacity to see that which is most important, that which is infinite. That is, how can that not be beautiful? When you see this, the circle of light will suddenly curve within you and bring you back, and God will be present for you at a conscious level. And I say, what about future lessons? Spirit says, when something happens that you know could potentially be with you for a long time, I suggest that you heed and heal it at the very moment it transpires. And I say, please share with me how. While an issue is new, it is still potential energy. It has not yet become static. But if you let it fester, it will put down deep roots in an effort to mire you in its illusion. The longer it stays frozen, the tougher the thaw will be, because it can get cold. I know that I've been telling you that everything is God, so you must be wondering, how is it that terrible things can be God? What you perceive as terrible is not the reality of God, but an illusion created by you. What I am saying is that the mind can never open up enough to take God in. So you must open your heart in order to move out of any illusion and into my reality. And I respond by asking the question, but how will I know when I am there? Powerful, beautiful, honest question. Hey, tell me what's up, bruh. You will know you are heart-centered when you begin to see a world made of hues that you could never see before. Everything will appear different to you, as if illumined. You will know you have become heart-centered when you notice that joy is residing within you full time. This is your soul purpose. Sometimes it's not about doing the things you love. That's half of the climbing of the mountain. The other half is completing with those things you don't love, which helps bring you up the other 50% of the mountain. You will know you have become heart-centered when you notice that joy, sometimes we have to clear that stuff out the way to make room for joy to reside within you full time. And I say that illumination things already happened a lot. Where things seem to have that glow you've mentioned, and everything looks softly blended together. But what I want to know is how to stay in that space longer. Spirit responds, I shall tell you, be conscious of your breathing, just as even and as steady as possible. Not only when you are meditating, but all the time. When you can begin to live your life from this relaxed, letting go kind of feeling and a willingness to lose everything to gain yourself, you will have joy and complete trust when there was none before. And that space you are looking to expand will do just that. Moving on. From Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. The link is at the beginning of this forum in the real-time comments. One moment. But the spiritual ones that came to earth in your past did not come here to solve all of the world's problems. Indeed, because everything tainted has not yet been cleansed, each of you must do your part to eliminate the wickedness, that was a deliberate word, the wickedness left over by the fallen angels. If your predecessors had finished the job for you, heaven on earth would already be established. Look around. Is it? And I say far from it. So you see, there is more work yet to be done. And I say, yes, I do see. That is why you and others, tonight is Center of Light, Fulfillment, Soul Purpose. That is why you and others volunteered to come to earth, to complete what the spiritual ones before you started, to help rectify the Luciferian energies of control and greed. And now that so many of you are becoming enlightened, others can follow your example and make the conscious choice to live in accordance with God's plan. My plan, God's plan. Please tell me more about our mission, Center of Light, Purpose, Soul Purpose. Please tell me more about our mission as light workers. One purpose of your volunteer effort is to deal with, as I said, soul purpose is not only about being joyful, it's about doing the things you don't like. Not meaning don't do things that don't go out and do things that do not bring you joy, but face those things. Do that. One purpose of your volunteer effort is to deal with your karma, as well as the karmic leftovers, so you double, quote, burdened with the karmic leftovers of anyone who has died. You see, no matter how you have lived, when you die, you may leave residue behind. But light workers have the ability and the duty to clean it up. I know you might be thinking that you are left holding the bag, but you must consider it an honor to see this mission and purpose through to completion. What will help is when you begin to change your internal dialogue about who and what you think you are. It does not help one single iota to say things like, I am angry, I am mad, I am sick, I am content, I am bored, I am alone, I am poor, I am afraid. And I say, exclamation point, you are so right. And Spirit says, no, Keith, yes, you are. And I say, me. And Spirit says, there, you did it again. And I said, did what? You so easily overlook your true self. And that, my friend, is what causes your difficulty. Understand that you are not the feelings that flood your emotional system, nor are you the thoughts that overwhelm your mind. As you have just realized, you are the silent witness, observing the whole drama as it unfolds. But the problem is that your ego is not so silent. It wants to be the director and continue to dictate to you exactly. Wow. This is so moving me. It so pertains to me in this moment. It wants to be the director and dictate to you exactly what it thinks you are, should be, and should do. The confusion it engenders often pulls you into life's dramatic movie even further, convincing you this is the most integral, the most important point of this presentation. For me, the confusion it engenders often pulls you into life's dramatic movie even further, convincing you that whatever you are experiencing is real. Yes, Alexander, I am reading from my book. The confusion it engenders often pulls you into life's dramatic movie even further, convincing you that whatever you're experiencing is real. This is the point of this presentation tonight. We know in the spiritual movement that we go, well, this is what we call reality because I'm spiritually buff. And equally in the opposite side, this is the illusion. We all know that principle. We all know that cliche spiritual way of thinking. It's a powerful, beautiful stepping stone, but that's not all there is. So what else is there? It's literal. In this moment, center yourself, take a few beautiful, powerful breaths, recognize the beauty of yourself, your life, and that you have life for that beautiful breath. Stop, go to zero, and realize that nothing outside of the awareness that you have in yourself right now about what I just directed you toward is real. It's just completely false. Hello, Gail. It's completely false. It is simply not real. So if I open my eyes, then I'm telling you, you're looking at a smoke screen. Now, the opposite side of soul purpose is it's not a smoke screen. So which one is it, Keith? That's what I'm telling you. The universe thrives and survives on paradox, because beyond what we know this way and that way is something else. And that something else is what we call God in its most natural state, which is supernatural. It's beyond the natural of what we think is normal, right? So literally, everything outside of your peaceful scope of awareness is not real. Your family's real because your love binds and ties you to it. But the outside realm is only a reflection, not of yourself, because the self that you are is not that at all. But it's a reflection of the self that you think you are. Alexandra, I love your tenacity, your cojones. He says, I am different, but I don't mind you guys. Brother, I respect that beyond measure. I love your honesty more than anything. Hello, Tina. People often said that when I do my presentations, I get passionate. I ride that current. I feel that energy. I am that energy. That energy is me. And I pray to God it never goes away because I don't want it any other way. I get lit. Could be showboating. I really don't care. I feel good. I feel happy. I love bringing family and tribe members in, and we can play together. Pull me into your world. I will come play with you. That's what we're doing on cosmic levels anyway. So if we're trying to get back to the garden, maybe we should initiate the game. Get out of the same old, because it's getting old. How's 2020 for you? And into 2021. I get it. It's beautiful. It's purposeful. It's a stepping stone to expansion and growth. Locked in will make you want to hug a mofo on the neck and kiss him on the cheek. won't it? Locked in will make you want to get out and let yourself out so you can explode. Some people have anxiety about being let out again. They've lost touch, so to speak, with how to be in touch and to touch people. So the chain has been broken. You are not broken if you're such a one. There is no rush to get to the finish line. Why? Because there is no finish line. You finish when you complete yourself. It's easy. It's not hard. It's never been hard. It's never been hard. Never. Let me say it again. It's easy. It's not hard. It's never been hard. It's never been hard. Never. Never have. We've chosen difficulty, weight, vulnerability, in a form of gravity, drag, and dread, and unconscious vulnerability. I'm just simply open because I don't give a flip or whatever. And flipped we get. Flipped when our world turns topsy-turvy. Tonight has been Center of Light, fulfillment, soul purpose, S-O-U-L purpose. My soul's purpose to be joyful, happy, be abundant in the form of essence, God, love, unity, caring for others, caring for myself, doing what it takes for me that when I lay my head down, my body down at the end of this life to go, I am so ready because I am so full, which makes me ready to be fulfilled. Soul purpose. See, I strive for these things daily. I hope you do. I'm sure you do. Send me a nugget, throw me a bone. I'll make it my own. I like gnawing. Right? Let me see if there's anything less on this list. Continuing on. Again, just a reminder of tonight being Center of Light Fulfillment, Soul Purpose. No wonder the life you are living seems to be the same thing over and over again. You see, Keith, when you make judgments based solely upon past experiences, you leave no room for something new. There are many times I hear you say to yourself, "What about me? When is it my turn?" Spirit says, "Well, Keith, this book, this body, this life are all for you, the real you. Now go out and live your purpose. Now it is your turn." And I asked the question, hello, Mary. I asked the question, does guilt serve a purpose? Spirit says guilt serves the soul, S-O-L-E, soul, S-O-U-L, purpose of letting someone know they are in poor choice mode. If people would just slow down and begin to pay attention to the thoughts they are thinking, they would be able to differentiate between the low ones and the high ones, and they would see how religiously choosing the higher ones can only help them climb up the spiritual ladder. The spiritual ladder, the spiritual ladder. Your sole purpose to become completely fulfilled, not to die with regret, but to eternally live with bliss and joy and expansion and fullness, is to play in the arena, for sure, of the things you love doing. But at least do explore why you don't like those said things that you don't like doing. Is it simply because, I'm just not interested? Or is it because I'm not interested? There is a major difference between using the same words to describe two different energy, emotional dynamics. Take yourself to the brink. Be willing to jump off the cliff. Be willing to dive into the fire. What does that look like? It looks like nothing but you when you look into the mirror at your fullest potential. There's nothing else. No matter where you come from, no matter how old you are, no matter whatever this or that, there's nothing else. Literally, there's nothing else. When you can look at yourself in the mirror reflection, the mirror call, as if a mirror is calling to you, but the mirror call, as in a miracle, when you see yourself in the reflection of yourself, as I said earlier, and you begin to unfold within yourself to levels of that which is natural, when it begins to turn it into supernatural, it begins to expand infinitely, because God always wants to expand. It has no choice. That's what God is in and of itself. It's just this eternal, internal unfoldment, turning within itself, wanting to experience greater possibilities of its eternal self. There's nothing you can do about it. And you are in the field. You are in the current. You are in the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Keith Anthony Blanchard, I love you as you are loved beyond measure. It is my pleasure